Geek Out!
One year after Roy Burns went on his killing spree, Tommy Jarvis tracks down the grave of the real Jason Voorhees in a desperate attempt to ensure that not only is he dead, but that Jason's body has been destroyed. Inadvertently, by stabbing Jason in the chest with an iron rod that gets struck by lightning, Tommy is the reason that the killer is allowed to come back to life to begin his vengeance anew. Can the newly dubbed town of Forest Green survive the return of Jason Voorhees? All right, so welcome to another exciting episode of The Long Night at Camp Blood. Tonight we are talking about, what is it? It's movie number 6, Jason Lives. And with me today I have good friend Eric Phones. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully. So real quick, so just to catch up the audience, we know each other through your brother, previous guest host, Chad. I believe he was on either episode 4 or 2. I should have done the research to actually know exactly what it is, but I didn't. I'm lazy. But so Chad and I, as we talked about on the episode, we both worked at Blockbuster together, and we had this famous fight over who's better, Freddy or Jason. And then through him, met you because you guys are thick as thieves, 2 peas in a pod, if I may.
True. Yes.
And you also a fan of the horror movies, and also a fan of Jason Voorhees.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So through that, you know, we've become friends, and you actually have a unique insight into the horror movie beast that none of us do, and that is that you've actually acted in some horror movies.
Yes.
Tell me what that's like.
It's awesome. I mean, I got to play the killer in Carver, and that was amazing. That was probably the most amazing thing in my life, you know, having been a fan of horror movies for a very long time before that. It's kind of funny. I actually told the director, I was like, hey, if you ever need a killer, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
I filmed a movie beforehand with him called The Eighth Plague,
which I've seen.
Yeah, where I've had a very bit part as the groundskeeper, and I'm gonna that for like 30 seconds. But then after I mentioned that to him, he actually wrote the part of Bobby Shaw Carver in Carver for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember I found out about this because I just happened to, while I was working at Blockbuster, The Eighth Plague came out and we got it. It was one of those straight to DVD. Like looking at it, I was just expecting it to be some like shitty, you know, straight to DVD horror movie. And I was like, I'm going to love laughing at this, you know, while I'm at home. And like I'm watching it, and I want to say within like the first 15, 20 minutes, you're, you know, what I guess could be considered a cameo.
Yes.
Your bit part pops up, and I'm just like, is that fucking Eric? And like I like paused the movie, got your brother up on the phone, and I was like, is Eric an actor? Is he in horror movies? And he's like, oh yeah, he's got this little role in this movie that just came out, and I was like, I'm watching it right now. And then Carver is available on Netflix.
Yes, disc only.
Yeah.
I mean, it was available on streaming. In fact, it's been shown on like Showtime or Cinemax. I can't remember which one it was, but it was in regular circulation there for a little while.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you still get to do any of that from time to time?
I haven't been, but I really want to get back into it. But you know, I'm going to school right now, and then, as you know, I have a 2-year-old son.
Right.
But I would love to start doing stuff like that again if I could find the right people and the time.
It was very cool. I enjoyed the chunks of acting that I've seen out of you. You know, it's definitely could see you as, you know, a regular, you know, a veritable Sid Haig.
I'll take that. I will take that.
Yeah. So let's jump into it. As I said, we're talking about Jason Lives, Part 6. Just to go over real quick some of the stuff about the production of it. This one was released August 1st, 1986, about a year and a half after Part 5 came out, which is about the we've noticed, because I've been keeping track of this. It's about the trend. It's usually about a year and a half in between each movie so far.
Right.
We do know that they in just a couple installments they do take quite a break, and then that's where the series kind of peters off for a little while. This one has a runtime of 87 minutes, if I remember correctly, the shortest so far, and is 5 minutes shorter than the previous installment.
Right.
If not, there might have been one that was like 83 minutes, but most of them around 90 minutes. This one, written by newcomer and also written and directed by newcomer Tom McLaughlin.
Nah.
I trip over names.
It's okay.
And then also the sole producer credit given to newcomer Don Bems. But we also do know that what's his name? It's written here somewhere. Mr. Mancuso, who was a producer of the previous one, also had a hand in producing it. We know that because he's the one that hired McLaughlin, and I'll get into that in a little bit. This one was filmed in several cities in Georgia, namely Madison, Covington, Starsville, and Rutledge. So the first time we've been in Georgia, we've shot in New Jersey and we've shot in California. Now we're in Georgia.
So I guess this is before the Canadian boom.
Yes. Yeah, I believe the first one to take place in Canada is Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah,
possibly.
Ironic.
Yeah. Funny how Montreal looks just like... Actually, it's probably not even Montreal. Although Montreal does look a lot like New York.
It's New York light.
Yeah.
Funny side, sorry.
Yeah. No, go for it. That's why you're here.
In one of the Police Academy movies, they're trying to act like they're in New York, but they're crossing a street and you can see the CN Tower in the background, which gives it away that it's actually Toronto.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually probably Toronto where they were shooting for Jason Takes Manhattan.
Toronto's pretty popular.
Yeah, and it's pretty friendly to film studios. Yeah. Budget here, $3 million, which is almost $1 million more than the previous installment. So that's good. They're getting back up because if you remember correctly, they were taking. They kind of took a swan dive with the last one for budget wise, but. Unfortunately, the gross was only $19.4 million, which is $2 million fewer than the previous installment. And also, the last movie, I made the claim that it was the lowest gross, or the second lowest gross of the series. I have since checked on that, and they actually, until I think Jason Goes to Hell, they steadily go down. So, A New Beginning having the second lowest gross is an inaccurate statement. Just in case anyone actually cares.
There are some people out there who are looking at stuff like that. So.
It's true. So even though, like I said, even though New Beginning was technically considered a financial success, it did have a lot of negative review from fans. So that's what caused the producers to push to kind of course correct, bring back Jason, stuff like that, and kind of trash what Mancuso had kind of dubbed as like the new. I think he was trying to turn it into more of an anthology type storyline, like the original idea was, which I think later then inspired Friday the 13th, the series, the TV series, which
that was
had,
awesome from what I can remember, actually,
and had nothing to do with Jason.
Nope. It
was more of like a Twilight Zone, like Outer Limits kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, so in doing so, Mancuso decided that he was going to hire writer-director Mr. McLaughlin to helm the script, and kind of gave him free reign to do whatever he wanted with the story, as long as Jason came back as the killer. Now, fun side note, McLaughlin's big claim to fame, or at least one of the things that he was really well known for at the time, was a little feature called One Dark Night, which fans of Mystery Science Theater 3000 will remember as the Adam West movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
Which also features E.G. Daily, who is a voice actress.
Right.
And if I remember
She did
correctly,
Tommy.
Yeah, she did Tommy from the Rugrats.
Tommy Pickles. Yeah.
She's one of the Powerpuff Girls.
Yes.
I think Buttercup.
Yeah. Yes.
Bubbles, maybe?
Maybe.
And
I can't remember. And she was Dottie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Dottie and Pee-wee's Big Adventure. She was in the Rob Zombie movie.
House
Devil's
of a
Rejects.
Thousand Corpses. Oh, Devil's Rejects.
The sequel.
Yeah.
She's one of the brothel girls.
Yes.
And I want to say she's played somebody in like the Batman animated universe, but I can't put my finger on who it was.
I want to say that too, but yeah.
Yeah. Tara Strong was Harley Quinn and Barbara Gordon, depending on which properties you're like. She started off as Barbara Gordon on the animated TV series, and then like the second Arkham game, she took over as Harley Quinn, I think is how it goes. Don't quote me. This is not the Batman TV show and game
I didn't
podcast.
write that down. It's all right.
Good, because it will not be on the test. But I do know that Tara Strong is like kind of now considered Harley Quinn, even though she wasn't the original voice of Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
That was Eileen Sorkin. I
You
know it's Sorkin.
Yeah. You got me.
I want to try to do my best to give credit where credit is due.
Fair enough.
So in so doing, McLaughlin penned the idea for the story and obviously pulled some ideas from old Universal monster movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right off the bat, you have lightning striking the monster, the dead monster, bringing it back to life. It's a clear, reference to Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah. That's the first thing I thought, too.
Yeah. And it was intentional. And then also it kind of inspired how he directed Jason to lumber about. Like he kind of already was like the silent, killer, but like it was more specific. Like, no, do it like Frankenstein's monster, And then also there was the little bit about in order to kill Jason, you got to take him back to Crystal Lake, because of the quote unquote home soil. Much like Dracula, he can't leave. His home soil, something about he has to have a coffin full of dirt from Transylvania. It's always been a little confusing to me.
Well, it depends on what vampire lore you're talking about.
Bram Stoker. But yeah, so like that stuff. And then also he even snuck in some of his Catholicism in there because the one victim or would be victim to survive or not even be attacked by Jason is the little girl who says a little prayer. And Jason just walks away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Another little fun fact, the Tom Matthews, the guy that plays Tommy Jarvis, his big claim to fame before this was the Return of the Living Dead.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that. I actually looked him up to see if he was in any of the other Friday the 13th movies, and he's not.
Yeah, only character to be in 3 movies, played... and then also played by 3 different actors.
So he's like the Detective Munch of the horror movie universe.
Corey Feldman plays him in Jason's Dead or not the final chapter. And then some other kid plays him in New Beginning. And then my favorite is this guy Tom Matthews who plays him in this one. And then this is the last time we see that character. Until Friday the 13th, the game, which still awesome, guys. Still playing it constantly.
I was going to mention that if you didn't.
Oh, yeah. The last episode, I know you haven't had a chance to hear most of the shows, but the last episode, we took a break from the movies, and we talked about Friday the 13th, the game, because it just happened to kind of coincide with the release of the game.
Right.
And I had bond a friendship with a couple people playing the beta, so I got them all together for a big Skype call and was like, okay, let's talk about the game and how awesome it is.
I've heard nothing but good things.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good. Totally worth the money.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. And this weekend, which to anyone listening is last weekend because I'm recording this podcast a week ahead, you get double XP for all the matches that you play, which sucks because I'm working all this weekend, so I'm not going to get much.
Boo.
But I did get a skin based on the old like Nintendo Friday the 13th video
like
game.
the blue and purple?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this movie, this installment actually had 2 actors playing Jason, which is not complete rarity, but doesn't happen too often. But apparently the original casted Jason, C.J. Graham. McLaughlin just didn't really like him. Kind of had an Eric Stoltz from Back to the Future kind of thing, just like you're just not the right fit.
Right.
But the first couple days of filming was that paintball sequence, and was apparently good enough to keep it in the final film, because that is still C.J. Graham as Jason in the paintball sequence. But everything else after that, peep this, is a gentleman named Dan Bradley. I hope I didn't get the two of them confused. Oh no, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I got the two actors' names mixed up. Dan Bradley was the one that was like a stuntman who was like, hey, it's not working out.
Fuck Dan Bradley.
Yeah.
The other guy's the good guy.
Yeah. C.J. Graham is actually a local restaurant manager. Yeah, who just happened to have like this act at the restaurant where like he'd be hypnotized and like be forced to like act like Jason and like terrorize people. And like I think it was like some of the people on the crew were there and were like, hey man, you should get this guy in the movie. And McLaughlin was like, you're hired, you are Jason. So right,
that's cool.
That's gotta be a great story. It's like, hey guys, remember how I used to do that thing with Jason and you all like hated me for it?
Right.
Remember how it paid off and I was in a fucking movie?
I know them feels because of the story I shared earlier. I'm still riding that wave, kind of.
Go for it. You earned it. Yeah. So let's get into the plot.
Okay.
That's kind of all the big points that I wanted to talk about with the production, pre-production, stuff like that. So let's talk about what happens in this movie. So
there are two things that hit me first off the bat.
Yeah.
One, fucking Horshack is in it. The guy who played Horshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. I flipped out when I saw him. I was just like, it's Arnold Horshack. Yeah, that threw me for a loop. I didn't expect him to be in it.
Yeah.
And the second thing, I know I'm jumping ahead just a tad bit, but
go for it.
How the fuck does a guy rip a piece of a wrought iron fence off? I mean, this thing had to be rusty as all get out, or he had to be really fucking strong to pull this piece of this fence off.
I mean, you are talking about the person who, as a child, was able to overpower Jason. As Corey Feldman.
Right.
Was able to overpower Jason and almost chop his head off.
Right.
And there was like in the A New Beginning, they kind of did establish that he has this like freak strength, like a rage strength kind of thing. So like, also, how just convenient because it's a movie. But yeah. So the first thing we see is Tommy pull up to a graveyard. Fun fact, I forget where it was, but the graveyard at night and the graveyard at day, two different graveyards.
Oh, really?
Which you can kind of see because the graveyard, the night graveyard, kind of looks like the scene that opened up A New Beginning, where it's the only time Corey Feldman is in the set, the A New Beginning, playing Tommy in a dream. And as we talked about in that episode of the podcast, that was in Corey Feldman's backyard because he was too busy filming The Goonies to play Tommy Jarvis.
Oh wow!
But it looked for a hot second I was like, did I rent the wrong Friday the 13th? But then like, no, it's adult Tommy Jarvis. It's cool Tommy Jarvis with the denim denim fleece jacket, which is the character design for his character in Friday the 13th, the game. But yeah, so digs him up and then just decides, I came here with a jug of gasoline and I'm gonna set fire to the body, but you know what I'm gonna do first? I'm gonna stab him
with a fence.
Yeah, stab him with a fence during a lightning and thunderstorm.
Right. Not exactly his finest moment.
No. In fact, probably one of his worst moments because that's what causes Jason to come back. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, they chose to bring along a hockey mask with them. Yeah. Which, in my opinion, and I don't know how much how much stock you put into it, but I've been watching all of these movies back to back to back to back. Least favorite hockey mask of the series because it looks like a pancake. Like it's the most rounded one. Most of them are contoured to like a human face, but this one just was like flat and circular. And it's nitpicky, but like
it was
it's
more like a frisbee with holes in it. Really,
for some reason, it's just less menacing,
right?
Because it's not contoured at all.
Right.
I would rather take the Jason Goes to Hell, with the big chunk, tore out of it, and it's just kind of blending into his skin.
I always thought that was a cool effect.
Yeah.
In fact, again, aside to my ventures in the horror movies, the director was talking about doing a sequel.
Yeah.
To whereas spoiler alert, come back from the dead.
You just blew my mind.
And the mask that I'm wearing in the movie was actually contoured to my face, and like parts of it were sunk into my face. It was pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed it gets made.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, George Miller made a sequel to Mad Max like 20 years later.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll do 20 years later.
Yeah.
That's fine by me.
Yeah. I will gladly provide my services. I can hold a camera. I can
well, there you go.
I went to film school. And I can kind of act. If you need more victims to just chop through, during your rampage.
Let me get in first, and then we'll talk about.
No, let's make deals before it's even done.
Okay,
That's the Hollywood
fair enough.
way.
All right, done.
Promise me everything, and then never deliver. That's Hollywood.
I mean, that's Hollywood, right?
Yeah. But yeah, the biggest problem I ever had, and I'll probably talk about it at length while we're doing Jason Goes to Hell, is that it looks like he's wearing a helmet.
Yes.
Like there's so much prosthetic on his head.
Yeah. It was distracting almost.
Yeah, the hockey mask is the least problematic thing. In fact, it's probably the only good thing about that Jason design, at least, because is that Kane Hodder? I think it is. I think that's Kane Hodder behind the mask.
Which one? Oh yeah, it is.
Because Kane Hodder is until the Nightmare on Elm Street remake that came out a couple years ago. Kane Hodder was the only other person to ever quote unquote play Freddy Krueger, because it's Kane Hodder's hand that comes up at the end of Final Nightmare.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, not Final Nightmare.
Well, yeah.
Jason Goes to Hell.
Well, Kane Hodder will always be my Jason. So
he's the Jason. He's who they mocapped for Jason in Friday the 13th the game.
Yep.
I'm going to continue talking about Friday the 13th the game. I hope everyone listening to this enjoys Friday the 13th the game, because it is worth it.
Well, you've convinced me.
There you go. It's available on Xbox One, PS4, and PC.
Fair enough.
Through Steam.
Yeah. So
Jason
comes back.
And we're treated to a wonderful homage to James Bond.
Yeah.
As it zooms in.
I wrote that down on my notes. I was like, Jason Bond.
Right?
But
just so you know right off the bat, there's going to be some comedy in this one, guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I was watching this movie last night around 11:30, and I had to be at work early this morning. But anyway, I
appreciate your sacrifice.
Oh, no problem. It was a lot of fun. But I'm just like, first off, the fence. I wrote down in my notes my exact words: "Are you fucking kidding me with the fence?" So anyway, but right after that, I have Jason Bond. I mean, at least throw in a creepy da-na-da-na, if you're gonna be that blatant about it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, or have the title sequence be like overtly like James Bondy, like how they always have those grandiose like but have it be a song about
like
Jason.
People hanging from trees and stuff like that. Yeah.
Machetes chopping people in half.
I would watch that movie.
Yeah.
James Bond, like a horror James Bond. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we just made a movie.
We'll get to writing it.
Yeah. You can be Jason Bond. But yeah, so then after that, we're treated to probably my least favorite sequence in the movie, the paintball stuff. Like it was just, it was painful to watch because it's like so just tangentially not related at all to anything else happening.
Right.
And like
it was so ridiculous. It was just like an aside to everything, and I actually have written down here that the blatant misogyny was right there. God. I was laughing so hard. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it was. I was about to interrupt you, so I apologize for that. But yeah, it was just. I was like, oh my God, and like the one guy, she belonged in the kitchen. No place for a woman.
All because of a paintball game. Come on.
Yeah.
No,
well,
it's
some men's masculinity is that fragile.
This is true.
I've seen it. I've been to comic book conventions. I've been to sporting events.
We both have. Oh yeah, I've been to a combination of both. No,
ooh,
not yet.
Cosplay wrestling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
oh my God. I wish they would do that around here somewhere.
That would be nice.
Colossal Con is the closest one that I know of that has had cosplay wrestling.
Don't know where that is.
It's in Ohio.
Oh, okay. Well, who wants to go there?
Right?
Anyway.
I wish that NovaCon, which is happening next month would do it because there's a promotion, Nova Pro Wrestling, which you should come.
There, yeah.
They are amazing. They're doing a show in a couple weeks. I will invite you and Chad because they're great. And and main event, ladder match.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Those are always good.
For the Ultra J Championship, which I didn't know existed until I started going. Yeah, it's some like trans. It's like a mid-Atlantic multi-regional championship. Like it's not tied down to any one specific promotion. Apparently,
that's pretty cool.
Which that makes me wonder, like, who gets to decide if it's allowed to change hands? Like, can they just do it willy-nilly, or is there like someone that's like, no, Nova Pro doesn't get to choose who the new champion is. Only the MCW gets to choose, or something like that.
It's like some wrestling godfather out there.
Yeah, Papa Hales. Anyway, this is not a wrestling podcast.
not yet. Anyway, no.
One day I'll make a wrestling podcast.
Right.
Once I figure out what I want it to be.
So, does he not get arrested before the paintball scene? Tommy goes into the police station.
He goes into the police station. He doesn't make it to the police station until the morning after, and the paintball stuff is happening the morning after as well. So it's kind of happening at the same time. Right.
Oh, fair enough. And I wrote down here, I was like, big surprise, nobody fucking believes him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was the most cliche thing ever. Yeah. Oh, yeah, kid, you're from some mental facility. Yeah. We're not going to believe you.
I know who you are.
Yeah, right.
Which was so weird. It only took the sheriff like 2 seconds to recall Tommy Jarvis's entire life history.
Yeah.
Which, if I remember my calculations correctly, it's been about 15 years since what happened. By the way, I've been keeping track of the time jumps between each movie. Yeah. Right now, it's in my notes later in the episode, but like since we're talking about it, right now, 1990 in universe.
Okay.
Filmed 1986. Or released in 1986. So we're in the future.
So
and if I haven't like looked at the notes yet, but if I remember correctly, like we jump easily like another like 5 or so years by the time we get to like Manhattan. So you know how Jason Takes Manhattan is super 80s?
Yeah.
Within universe, it's supposed to be like 1997.
Wow.
Something like that. Something along those lines.
That's interesting. No, that really is interesting.
Yeah. So, and like Jason Goes to Hell, probably at that rate is supposed to be like 2001. But it came out in like 1994, 95, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, so paintball, people die. I did like that there was a triple kill in the paintball. Yeah. That was the one redeeming factor of it. You got the whoop, 3 heads.
That's some good upper arm strength by Jason there.
Yeah. Well, he gets his cardio in.
Yeah. Well, I still like the dead bands that they had on their heads.
Yeah.
She's like, put your headbands on. I was like, oh, okay. I want to get a copy of that, like a dead band.
Right? Cosplay is that at a convention. You just camos and a dead band.
There you go. Big thick glasses with the goggles on top. It was like if Bubbles went paintballing for your Trailer Park Boys fans.
So let's see. So then, we go to the police station. No one believes Tommy.
Big fucking surprise.
Yeah, he's cast off, but he detours and decides to try to go to the cemetery, where so before that we see a scene of the groundskeeper at the cemetery reburying what he thinks is Jason,
but
and we're treated to a break in the fourth wall, where the groundskeeper just goes, he looks straight at the camera and he's like, I can't believe what people think or what people will watch or will do in turn, for entertainment. Basically being like, how could you watch a movie about a guy killing people? It's like, to be totally honest, I actually hate that. I'm not a fan of that kind of like winking at the blatant wink at the audience, like little subtle things. I love, but
not blatant.
But just like straight up Bugs Bunnying.
Yeah,
no thanks.
Unless it's Deadpool.
Yeah, it works for Deadpool.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because then that means that my rule is inconsistent.
This is true. It's okay.
Yeah. Then magically Tommy falls in love with the sheriff's daughter.
Yeah, I thought that was really quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess, if you've just got 87 minutes to tell a whole story, you've got to have something to care about your characters there.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole camp of kids that we
I'd rather deal with Jason.
the one boy that kept talking to his friend. He's like, we're dead meat.
Yeah,
really dead meat.
This is really lame, dude.
So what did you want to be when you grew up? See, like that on the other hand, I loved
that was
that little
good.
sprinkled in comedy. I thought that was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so is that's the boys counselor? That's the Welcome Back Kotter kid, right?
No. He was the friend in the beginning.
Oh,
where Jason puts him in the grave.
The would-be sidekick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Eat your heart out.
Horshack dies pretty quickly.
Yeah. He's the Drew Barrymore of this movie. But yeah, so and then lots of kids. What is
one thing I noticed? Like, dude was carrying around a basket or a bushel of turnips.
Yes,
a bushel of turnips. I just thought that was completely random. Like, who carries around?
Hey, when you're an actor, you wouldn't understand.
No, not at all.
You need.
Please educate me.
What is it? Oh, there's something. Whenever like something silly like that turns up on this other podcast I listen to, How Did This Get Made?
Oh, I love that podcast.
It's so good.
Good
but we're like whenever someone points out something like that, they're like, hey, when you're acting, you need a something. You need something to like focus on,
right?
And that was his thing. That was his character choice.
Fair enough.
This guy fucking loves turnips.
Who doesn't?
He likes to turn up for what?
Oh God! I gotta go. I'm leaving. It's nice talking to you people.
Yeah, that's the end of the podcast. Click.
No, but yeah, it just struck me as weird. Like, they have these boxes of everything and then turnips.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you never know when you're gonna need some more turnips.
Yeah, and then somebody utters the line at some point. I think they were talking about Jason come after Tommy, and he was like, "Not if I get to him first." I'm like, all right.
Ugh.
Famous last words right there, bro.
Right?
Yeah,
right. That's like saying you're 2 weeks away from retirement.
Yeah. I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah. The random lovers out in the park. I did think it was kind of cute that they were clearly kind of half winking at the audience when they were doing the dialogue, like the reversal like where the girl was like, "Oh, I thought you were just gonna bring me out here to have sex," and the guy's like, "Oh no, I mean, I'm really tired. Like I've got a headache. Like clearly he's like faking it, and like we're all in on the joke, but at the same time I was like, oh, but it's like kind of like." It's still like a way of like kind of having that meta humor where we're winking at the audience like, oh, we understand what goes on in these horror movies, but we're kind of turning it on its side the same way like this movie was the only one in the series to not have any nudity.
Then I've got that written down in very big letters. We come
where are the boobs?
We come so close, but nothing pays off.
Well, that was in the Wikipedia article here. It like says that was like a thing that McLaughlin was actually like doing intentionally.
Oh, okay.
To the point where like the producers were like, "You need some tits in this movie."
Right.
And during the I think it's the RV sex scene. He goes, "Hey, actress, whatever. I can't find her specific name, but he's like, hey, maybe I'm getting a little pressure. Maybe if you're comfortable, take your top off." And she's like, "Nah, I would rather not." And he's like, "That's fine." Cool.
I mean, we get some side boob in that. Yeah. My thing that is so distracting that scene was when she's like, "You're the best, the best." I'm just like, what?
You got to keep going until the end of the song.
10 more minutes. And he kind of gives her a look like, what?
Yeah. Still, both of them still fully clothed for the most part for that whole sex scene.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, you have a kid, so I guess you've done it successfully at least once, but like that's not been my experience.
No.
Not a successful session.
No. Keeping your clothes on usually doesn't really work out.
Yeah. But the RV scene is one of the another cool kill with slamming the girl's head through the wall, and you get the like like her the shape of her head, or the shape of her face in the wall. Like I was like, oh, that's just like that like needle thing that you used to play with.
It's like a scene out of Looney Tunes, you know, when Wile E. Coyote hits the wall and it's like got his imprint. Yeah.
There you go. And then the what's his name? Court. That's for some reason I remember that character's name. The boy is stabbed in the temple with a screwdriver or something like that. A hunting knife.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
I have a list of all the murder weapons used in the movie.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Good reference.
Yeah. Then, things happen. Tommy gets legitimately arrested.
Yeah.
And in the stupidest escape ever, he and Megan, the daughter of the sheriff, break him out and get going back to Camp Crystal Lake, which is now dubbed Forest Green. The entire area, Packanack County, Crystal Lake, the town of Crystal Lake, and Camp Crystal Lake, all rebranded to Forest Green. Even the camp is called Camp Forest Green. No longer referred to as Camp Blood.
Camp Blood.
Fun fact, that means that this is the first time we've returned to Camp Crystal Lake since the first installment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's another thing that I've been keeping track of, because this whole time I was like, how, a couple movies into it, during my last rewatch a couple months ago before I started the podcast, I was like, there's a lot of campgrounds. Like, Camp Crystal Lake's closed.
Yeah.
Where do these keep coming up? So, they all take place in the fictional New Jersey county of Packanack County.
Oh.
But yeah, so you have Camp Crystal Lake, Packanack Lodge, Higgins Haven, etc.
And more.
Suburbs of Packanack County.
Right.
And then the only one that I couldn't kind of put my finger down on was New Beginning, because they never really... I couldn't find anything that mentioned where it was, except that it was close enough to that people knew the legend of Camp Blood. So probably still in the same region of New Jersey, but not necessarily in Packanack County.
Right.
But the geography of the Friday the 13th movie franchise.
Yeah, I always find stuff like that interesting.
Yeah.
Like for example, like the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Like I always like seeing the maps that show where everything was. So that's
and how we would be underwater.
Yes,
if I remember correctly.
Barely.
Yeah.
Like half of our county would be underwater.
At the very least, we would all have beachfront property.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And then wouldn't we?
We'd be in District 12.
12. Yeah, the coal mining district.
Yes.
Because West Virginia is like the main hub of 12. Yeah.
Got a lot of coal miners' daughters out there.
Hey. Yeah. I'll show you my PETA.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. I don't know a lot of about the Hunger Games. I read the first book and I watched the first 2 movies. All right. I mean, I'm not their target audience, so I wasn't, I wasn't expecting to get struck on it. And like when you kill off Alan Richardson, which is like half the reason why I went and saw the second movie,
right?
Then you kind of lose me.
I mean, Jennifer Lawrence kept me watching.
Yeah,
so.
fair. Yeah. That's fair. I can respect that.
Yeah.
But this isn't a Hunger Games podcast.
No, not yet. No.
Wah, wah, wah.
So
that's when the big climax happens.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, they the song ended. Come on, babe! Didn't the song end? But so Tommy and Megan get back to the Camp Forest Green. Realize that Jason has gone on his killing spree, killed pretty much every adult in the area.
Yeah. In various creative ways.
Yeah, as usual.
Yep. As is his wont.
Yeah. And we find out what Tommy's plan has been all along, which is to drown him in Crystal Lake or Forest Green Lake, if you will. Well, if you're the sheriff.
I like Tommy's line as you mix up the names there. It could be called whatever you want. He's still gonna see it as Crystal Lake. I loved that.
There you go.
That's pretty cool.
It was a good line.
Yeah.
So he has a chain and a rock, and he's out in the middle of the lake, and he's just egging on Jason.
Yep.
And then fucking Megan stupidly yells out to him, and Jason turns back around and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna go after you." And then, because Jason has the intelligence of a 4-year-old, he's distracted again by Tommy pulling him back. So it's kind of a wasted turn.
Yeah.
So a struggle ensues on the boat, and then Tommy gets the chain around his neck awkwardly. I couldn't quite. I was just like, okay, I accept that. Yeah, that's fine. It's a movie. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then an underwater struggle ensues because Jason breaks the boat and they both plunge into the depths.
Right.
Oddly enough, right on top of the derelict Camp Crystal Lake sign.
Yes. Yeah, that was
well
placed. Well placed. Yeah.
And then Tommy's able to escape. Sort of. Megan gets out there to help him, and then revs the engine.
No.
Somehow. That boat's rudder must be like 6 feet long.
Right.
Because he was grabbing up at her feet.
Yeah.
She's an average height woman, so at least 5'6".
Yeah, and she still had enough strength to pull that cord.
Still was able to kind of get up, get some leverage.
Yeah.
So so maybe only like 2 feet, 3 feet of her is underwater.
Something like that.
But still, your average boat, that rudder's only like a foot, maybe 2 feet long.
Yeah.
But somehow it gets him in the neck.
Yeah. It's like, man, I was thinking, do they have an extension on it?
Yeah. I mean, maybe that helps for speed or handling.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know what? To be fair, I did not see that rudder out of the water.
This isn't a boat podcast.
Yet.
Turnabout.
Turnabout's fair play, Cole.
That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off.
I love dodgeball, but this isn't a dodgeball podcast
yet.
So So yay, everyone lives, everyone survives. All the kids win. You know,
No.
Tommy coughs up water, so he survives. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's there.
And
Good time
then,
was had by all.
mm-hmm. And then we go and look at the dead body of Jason, zoom in on his eye, and see that it opens and he's still alive.
Big surprise. Shocker. Shocking ending to a Friday the 13th movie.
So, did you know that there are actually 2 alternate endings to this movie?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. More or less, by quote unquote ending, I mean like tease of Jason still being alive.
Right.
One of them, his mask just floats to the surface.
Okay.
Another one, they're back at the sheriff's office and like the door swings open mysteriously. But like the producer's like, those are too ambiguous.
Yeah.
I need something more concrete. So McLaughlin gets his father or father-in-law's father, goes to his father's pool. He's got like a backyard pool and films the close-up of Jason's eye in his pool. Oh, actually, filmed a lot of the underwater sequence because he also like got like the rudder shot because it ruined his father's pool.
Oh man, that sucks.
But now his father can be like, yeah, my pool was ruined by Jason.
There you
go. So he didn't mind too much. But yeah, so yeah. After reading that, I was like, it was probably good that they went with the ending they did.
Mm-hmm.
The mask floating up to the surface, though, kind of was later used in, like I was mentioning before, the Jason Goes to Hell with the mask being on the ground.
Yeah, it was,
wasn't
it? Yeah.
But they had the better tag of Freddy's hand grabbing it.
Right.
So yeah. So that's the fun stuff. Then just like some notes that I took about little random things. Friday the 13th, as you probably know, is well known for its long cold opens.
Yes.
Yeah. This particular one, 8 minutes and 50 seconds long. Not its longest, about half as long as its longest.
Right.
Part 2 is its longest, and it's like almost 20 minutes long. This one, the in-universe location was the camp, town, and county of Forest Green, as I said, formerly known as Crystal Lake and Packanack County, respectively. As I mentioned earlier, the year in universe is 1990, 1 year after the previous year stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I forgot. One of the Wikipedia or like a horror movie specific Wikipedia I saw had a different set of time, had a different time, and I was like, I've been doing this math myself, and I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty good at adding, 2 years, 4 years, 6 months, stuff like that. I can do that.
Basic math.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Thanks. But like it I think it said that it was like 1994 now, and I was like, how did you get that?
Right.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah. I think what might have happened was either they miscalculated or I miscalculated the jump between parts 1 and 2 or parts 4 and 5, because those are the only ones that have like big jumps. I think both of them were about 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the only time we see him in 1 is jumping out of the water, right?
Mm-hmm. And
at the end.
Yeah, and that's
spoiler alert for those who haven't seen Friday the 13th.
And that's written off as a dream sequence.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, even in the movie, like she wakes up and she's in a hospital bed.
It's been so long since I saw the first one.
Did you old yeller that movie and turn it off at that point because
you're
like, no, Jason lives.
Jason will always be alive in my heart,
and he's still a young boy even though it's 20 years later. The kill count for this movie was 18 deaths.
Okay.
18 confirmed kills. Which brings the total for Jason himself up to 51 kills.
Up to this point or in general?
Up to this point.
Oh, okay.
That's what eventually I'm going to know how many people Jason has killed. People on the internet have already calculated this, but this is my thing. I have my own rubric. I'm not counting any dream sequences, not counting Roy Burns. I'm not counting Pamela Voorhees, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I have 51 kills. Because I think, total kills so far, including the victims of Roy Burns, Pamela Voorhees, and the two of them themselves, Roy Burns and Pamela Voorhees, 81.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. But I still don't think
people.
Yeah, but I still don't think dream sequence deaths are involved in that.
Yeah, I don't.
There's a handful of people that die.
Who counts those anyway?
Right?
I mean,
cheaters,
right?
So something that I ask everyone on the show for this particular movie: what was your favorite and least favorite kill? I'll give you a moment to think, and I'll mention mine because I thought of them earlier. My favorite kill, Sheriff Garris, the final kill of the film, or the final confirmed kill, because Jason lives. But he's folded in half on top of himself. I thought that was pretty sweet. And then I'm gonna be cheap and say that the lamest kill was Roy, the paintball player who is killed off screen, and we just see his dismembered parts later in the movie.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to say my favorite kill was the 3-way kill.
Yeah.
The
that
paintball.
was up there. It was almost there.
For two reasons. One, those people were annoying, and that scene did also piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I mean, how often
the first
do you
triple
get to
kill.
see it? Yeah, it's a triple kill. Come on.
Yeah.
My least favorite was probably the groundskeeper.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. The chick. We didn't talk about the couple in the bug. The two counselors. But the reason that's my least favorite kill is it is a blatant plug for American Express.
Yes.
Because you see, after he stabs her in the face, you see $40 floating in there, and then an American Express card swirling around the little puddle that she was in.
Yeah, which it was not everywhere she wanted to be.
No, but she never left home without it, apparently.
Yeah, that's true. One of those is Visa. Visa's everywhere you want to be. Yeah, she should have had her Visa because then she wouldn't have been killed. See, oddly enough, though, like that's one of those like more subtle like things that to me, I saw it as a bit of humor as well as like, sure, fine, it's a plug. That's fine. I've gotten over, not to sound like I'm getting on a high horse or anything. That's fine. You can.
It's okay. You've been on one all night.
It's true.
No, I'm just kidding.
Hold on, let me dismount so I can.
That's what she said.
Oh, yeah. After the song.
Yeah, after the song was over.
But so for me, I think probably what broke me in terms of like it being like, well, that's a blatant plug for that's product placement. Probably what broke me of that was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes Part 2. Or Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Return of the Killer.
Yeah, the one that George Clooney's in.
Yeah.
Go watch it. It's great.
Yeah, it is.
But like they just like blatantly, like they make a joke about it.
Right.
And like, so from then on, I think I just never left that joke because now whenever I see, whenever I see product placement, like I have a joyful feeling. Like I was like, they made money. There's someone in the back just sitting there counting money, like
Right.
And like so, I think that's why product placement doesn't bother me as much.
Right.
So therefore, I'm able to just take it, either as okay, cool. They added, in this movie universe, people go to IHOP instead of go to Pancake Shop, or like. She had an American Express card.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
didn't bother me per se. It was just kind of hilariously placed.
Yeah, no. And it was unapologetic about it being like, hey, look, American Express. We're going to hold on it for 10 seconds.
Right.
Yeah. So those are your two.
Yes.
So I also like to time the killing spree.
Okay.
This one was a little tough for me because a trend that I can't remember if it continues on for the rest of the series, but at least like a trend that started in the last one. There's so many kills, and they're so back to back to back to back,
right?
That I can't really say when a killing spree starts and when it ends. Like, because it was just kind of like my old rubric was like, oh well, if they go like less than 5 or 10 minutes with a kill, like that's the killing spree. There's a kill pretty much every 10 minutes in this movie,
right?
So I didn't really time the killing spree because I was like, there's no definitive spree.
Yeah,
you know?
It was very sporadic.
Yeah. So sorry to anyone that's been keeping track of that. There was no spree.
Oh.
Yeah. Survivors, we've got Tommy Jarvis again, and Megan, and then all the little kitties.
Oh, that's good.
And that like hamster.
Yeah. Well, there were two. But now, is it just me, or was there one at first, and then all of a sudden there were two?
I did not pay that close attention to it.
I don't know. It's just something that caught my eye, because there was one running around the wheel, the first shot of the hamsters. And then all of a sudden he's still running in that wheel, but there's another one kind of tracking. I don't know. Maybe
we'll have to go back and watch.
Oh, well, there you go.
Let's start this over.
All right.
Then who plays Jason? I mentioned it before. C.J. Graham, with notable appearance by Dan Bradley. And then what is the evolution of Jason in this movie? This is actually the movie that inspired the me keeping track of the evolution of Jason, because this is the one that really kicks off Jason being the entity instead of just, a guy. Right. So, one, he's resurrected from the fucking dead. He's Frankenstein's monster. Or
Jesus.
Yeah. Or Lazarus.
Lazarus, yeah. There you
go. And that also gives him heightened strength and invulnerability, as if he wasn't overpowering enough.
Yes.
Or as the kids on the internet and gaming mostly, OP.
OP.
Yeah, he's too OP.
Right.
Much like Mike Myers in Dead by Daylight. Fuck anyone that plays Mike Myers in Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. I don't know that one.
It's a fun game. It's similar in structure to the Friday the 13th game. So if you like one, there's a good chance that you'll enjoy the other, but not like a direct correlation, because there's enough differences between the two of them. Like, I can enjoy Dead by Daylight, but I fucking love Friday the 13th, and it's not just because Jason. Because if there was going to be one that was like I was going to fucking love it just because of the killer, it would be a Nightmare on Elm Street game, because I'm still Team Freddy.
I am too.
Yeah, well,
that's why
that's why Chad and I fought so much.
Yeah.
So other things that he got in this one: work gloves, utility belt, and the rounded mask that we mentioned earlier.
Right. That fucking mask.
Yeah.
Casting on this movie was by Fern Champion.
Oh.
That's just a name that stood out to me. I'm glad that
I didn't notice. Thank you for bringing that.
Glad that they did not get Fern Runner up to do that.
No, we've got the best Fern.
Yep. He's number one. He's the Fern Champion.
We've gone through the whole forest.
Yeah. In this corner we have Fern Champion.
And his challenger in the brown trunks, Fern Runner-Up. I feel like this match is a little predetermined.
They've got unfortunate names there, Chris. I don't know how this is going to play out.
Yeah, let's watch. Weapons used in kind of in order. Spear. Spear, tree, machete, broken bottle, RV wall, hunting knife, dart, and lots of hand action.
Lots of hand action. That's the best kind of action there.
Hey.
Anybody who can use a tree as a weapon is good by me.
Right? So here's another thing that's kind of unique to this podcast. Do the victims deserve to die? Now here are my classifications of your different victims, and this kind of falls under the perceived morality of Jason and the Voorhees in general. So you got your fornicators.
Okay.
You got your assholes.
Okay.
You got your drug and alcohol users.
Right.
And you got your innocents.
Okay.
Now, I will concede that there's a little bit of gray area in terms of assholes in this one.
Yes.
Because assholes in general are like the douchey characters.
Mm-hmm.
Much like dude in the paintball game who's like, woman's rolling is in the kitchen. Like that guy, clear asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
But some of the other people in the paintball, like kind of assholes just because they're annoying, but I still threw them in innocence because they didn't outright do anything that I was like, well, this person deserves to die.
Yeah.
And this movie in general, like, I think has had the most innocence from the series so far. And I think that's partially because McLaughlin was like, fuck the rules. You know, I'm just going to kill people.
Right. Didn't you mention that he was super Catholic?
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, that's true. So everyone's guilty.
Yeah.
But so fornicators, and I'm going to be using their character names, which are seldom said in the movie, but I have like the kill list, which has their characters' names, so I know how to associate them.
Go ahead, you.
But yeah, so fornicators: Stephen, Annette, Nikki, and Court. Those the Stephen and Annette are the two lovebirds.
Okay.
And then Nikki and Court are the RV fuckers.
The ones on the blanket.
Yeah.
The first ones. Okay.
Yeah. Assholes: Stan and Bert. Stan was one of the ones in the triple kill.
Okay.
Who was like the one that's like, you're always hungry. I'm
the you're a fat fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Bert is the, women should belong in the kitchen guy.
Right.
Who conveniently gives Jason a machete.
Yeah.
Hey guys, he just wanted his machete back. I love Jason X, and I'm so excited that I'm going to get to it.
So good.
Thank you for also loving it. Drug and alcohol users: Martin, the cemetery.
Okay.
Groundskeeper.
He was a drunkard.
Only drinker that I recall, and the only person, and no one used drugs in this movie that I recall.
Yes, that's true.
And then everyone else that died, I consider innocents. So Alan, welcome
Horshack.
back, Cotter. Yeah, Horshack. Darren. Darren and Lisbeth, the Beetle people.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if we were going to classify them as either semi-fornicators or the guy is an asshole because he was like, I just run him over.
Yeah. But again, that was like kind of the gray area. I was like, I guess he's an asshole to Jason. And Lisbeth was the one driving. So
okay.
I guess if you wanted to, you could throw them in assholes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd throw anyone in an asshole.
That's true. Yeah.
Katie and Larry, who are the two other people in the triple kill. Okay. Larry just wanted something to eat.
Yeah.
And Katie just happened to be a strong, independent woman.
Who don't need no man.
Nope.
No.
And then the other two counselors, Sissy and Paula.
Okay.
They were innocents. I don't think they did anything to provoke Jason, except they were there.
Yeah. I swore that the one girl was what's her face from Saved by the Bell.
Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah. She had that Kelly vibe.
Yeah. But
yeah, that's the character Sissy. I did read that originally her death was just being pulled through the window, and then later you see her disembodied head in the police car like it is in the movie. But they were like, no, you need to add a scene of her head getting ripped off. So that's why we get that awesome scene of her head getting ripped off.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought when the groundskeeper was walking along and that rock rolled by, I thought that was going to be a head.
Oh, it would have been so cool.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. I would have been more fine with Roy's death if that had been where we see
his
But I don't think the timeline matches up.
No,
because that was
the cops already got to him, I think.
Yeah. So then how is Jason defeated? Well, initially he's drowned, and then motorboated. I was so
Everybody
happy.
loves a good motorboat,
right? Except Jason, apparently. Yeah. And then how does Jason come back? I don't know how, but he opens his eyes.
Yeah. He saw the sign.
Ooh. Could you believe it? And then we get to see how he really gets back in the next movie because a fucking psychic child wishes him back. I hate New Blood. It's my least favorite Friday the 13th movie.
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
It is terrible.
No?
Yeah, I mean, who
I'll
knows?
still watch it.
It might not be as bad as I think it is, but like, I do not have fond memories of it. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Long Night at Camp Blood. So it's time to now gather around the fire, and we'll be back next summer. And by next summer, I mean next month, with Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood.
Joy.
This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.